If I had to build my business credit all over again, completely from scratch, knowing everything I know now, here is exactly what I would do, in order, with no wasted steps and none of the mistakes that cost me time the first time around. Because here's the truth almost nobody tells you. Building business credit isn't actually complicated. It just has to be done in the right sequence. Do it out of order and you slam into walls and denials and confusion. Do it in the right order and the whole thing flows, one step naturally unlocking the next. So let me hand you the exact roadmap I would follow if I were starting today with a blank slate. Save this because this is the whole path. The very first thing I do before anything else at all is make my business real and legitimate in the eyes of the system. That means forming a proper business entity, an LLC or a corporation, so the business exists as its own legal thing, genuinely separate from me as a person. That separation is the entire foundation everything else is built on. And immediately after forming it, I'd get my EIN from the IRS. It's free, it takes just a few minutes online, and it is the number that every single piece of business credit will attach to going forward. I would never, ever build on my Social Security number, because that only builds personal credit and keeps me personally on the hook for everything. The EIN is the thing that makes all the credit that follows actually belong to the business instead of to me. The second thing I'd do is open a dedicated business bank account, and in that same moment, lock in my information for good. The bank account matters for two reasons. It creates real, visible financial separation between me and the business, and it's something lenders quietly look at when they size you up. But just as important, this is the exact moment I would decide, once and for all on the one precise version of my business name, my address, and my phone number, and then commit to using it identically everywhere from this point forward. State filing, EIN records, the bureaus, the bank, every future application. Getting that consistency locked in from day one saves you from the silent, frustrating denials that hit people later when their records don't quite match. It is boring, unglamorous work, and it is honestly one of the highest leverage things you can possibly do at the start. And I want to be honest with you about why order matters so much, because it's the thing I got wrong the first time. When you do these steps out of sequence, when you try to open vendor accounts before you have a DUNS number, or apply for a card before you have any trade lines, or build under your SSN before forming an entity, every early step quietly undermines the later ones. You end up redoing work, cleaning up messes, and wondering why nothing is sticking. The sequence isn't bureaucracy. It's the difference between building on solid ground and building on sand. So follow it in order, and you'll move faster by going slower. And here's a mindset shift that will make this whole thing easier. Don't look at this as a giant, overwhelming project you have to finish this week. Look at it as a sequence of small, individually easy steps where your only job is to do the next one in order. Nobody builds strong business credit in a weekend. They build it one deliberate step at a time. And the people who finish are simply the ones who kept taking the next step instead of freezing at the size of the whole thing. You only ever have to focus on the step you're on. I'll walk you through 6 steps total. The first 2 are about making the business real and consistent. The middle 2 are about getting it seen by the bureaus and opening the right accounts. And the last 2 are about growing and protecting what you've built. 6 steps in order. That's the entire map from a blank slate to a fundable business. The third thing I do is put my business on the map with the credit bureaus, because up to this point, the business is real, but still invisible to the credit system. That starts with getting my DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet. It's free, and it is what creates my file with the single biggest business credit bureau there is. Without it, there is no Paydex score, no D&B profile, and nothing for a lender to pull up and look at. I'd also make sure my business is properly established with Experian Business and Equifax Business, so that my profile has the ability to build across all 3 major bureaus, not just one. This is the step that flips your business from completely invisible into something the credit system can finally see, track, and score. Skipping it is why so many people feel like their payments are going into a void. The fourth thing I do, and only after that entire foundation is fully set, is open my first reporting trade lines. I'd start with 3 to 5 beginner-friendly net 30 vendor accounts. But here is the one rule I would never break this time around, no matter how tempting. I would confirm, in writing, that each vendor actually reports to the bureaus before I opened the account. Because I learned this the hard way, a net 30 account that doesn't report builds you absolutely nothing, no matter how perfectly and how early you pay it. Easy to get is not the point at all. Reporting is the entire point. And 3 to 5 reporting accounts is genuinely plenty to start with. I would not chase 10 or 15, because a focused handful I actually manage well beats a long, messy list every single time. The fifth thing I'd do is use those accounts the right way, because simply opening them is only half of the job, and it's the half most people stop at. I'd make small, consistent purchases, things I would genuinely buy for the business anyway, not junk just, to hit a minimum, and then I'd pay every single invoice early, not just on time. Paying early is one of the very few things that actively pushes your paydex score up toward the top of the scale. And then I'd simply keep my behavior boringly, relentlessly consistent, month after month after month, because that quiet consistency is the thing that actually builds the track record. No shortcuts, no drama, no chasing hacks, just reliable payments, reported over time, compounding in the background. And notice something about these 3 steps that took me years to appreciate. None of them are exciting. Getting a free identifier number, opening a few supply accounts, and paying invoices a few days early, it's about as unglamorous as business gets. But that is exactly why it works, and exactly why most people never do it. They're waiting for something dramatic to happen, some big move that changes everything. Overnight. There is no big move. There is only this quiet, boring sequence, done consistently, while everyone else is chasing shortcuts that lead nowhere. The boring path is the fast path. And let me give you the honest timeline expectation, because I don't want you quitting during the quiet part. After you open these trade lines, it can take a few billing cycles before they even show up, and a few months of consistent early payments before your profile is strong enough to really matter to a lender. That slow, silent stretch is not failure. It is the machine working exactly the way it's supposed to. The people who win are the ones who keep paying early through that quiet stretch, trusting that the reporting cycles are coming, because they always do. And if you only remember one rule from this middle stretch, make it this one. Confirm reporting before you open anything, and pay early on everything you open. Those 2 habits, applied to just 3 to 5 accounts, are the entire engine of an early business credit profile. Everything else in these steps is setup. Those 2 habits are what actually build the score. The 6th thing I'd do, once those vendor trade lines were reporting cleanly and consistently, is add a business credit card that reports to the bureaus. This matters because it diversifies my profile with a different type of credit, and that mix actually makes the profile stronger in the eyes of a lender. And I'd be disciplined about keeping my utilization low, using only a small portion of the available limit, because low usage signals a stable, healthy business rather than a stretched one. From there, I'd start climbing the tiers deliberately. Retail and store credit, then fleet or fuel accounts, and eventually bank credit and real lines of credit. Each tier I built well would unlock the next one up. That's the entire ladder, and the only way it works is from the bottom up, in order, with patience. And through every bit of this, I'd do one thing religiously that I badly underestimated the first time around. I'd monitor my reports. I'd regularly check that my accounts were actually showing up the way they were supposed to, catch any errors early before they cost me an approval, and make sure everything was reporting accurately. You genuinely cannot fix what you never look at, and business credit reports contain mistakes far more often than most people ever expect. 10 minutes of checking can save you months of damage. But here's the single most important thing I would tell my younger self, and it's the lesson sitting underneath this entire roadmap. Start before you need it. You cannot build business credit the week you suddenly need funding. It takes months of consistent reported history to become genuinely strong. So the best possible time to begin this whole sequence is right now, while there's no pressure and nothing riding on it yet. The business that is ready and fundable the moment an opportunity shows up is always, without exception, the one that quietly started early. So that is exactly how I'd do it if I started over from zero. Form the entity and get the EIN, open the bank account and lock in consistent information, get the DUNS number and register with the bureaus, open 3 to 5 confirmed reporting trade lines. Use them with small purchases and early payments. Then add a card and start climbing the tiers, monitoring my reports the entire way. If you want that full roadmap laid out step by step so you can follow it in the right order without guessing, I put the whole thing into a free checklist. It's the first link in the description. fundabilityhq.com/free-checklist. Grab it, start today, and build it right from the ground up. I'll see you in the next one. And if I could add one final piece of encouragement, it's this. When I look back at how long I spent confused, frustrated, and stuck, it wasn't because the work was hard. It was because nobody ever handed me the sequence. I was doing
random pieces in random order and hoping. You don't have to do that. You now have the exact roadmap, start to finish, that I wish someone had handed me on day one. The only thing left is to begin. And beginning today, even with just the very first step, puts you months ahead of where I was. So let me make it as simple as possible for you right now. You don't need to do all 6 steps today. You just need to do step 1. Form the entity. Or if it's already formed, go get your free EIN. That's it. That's the whole assignment for today. And it's completely doable in the next hour. Then tomorrow, the next step. And a few months from now, you'll look up and realize you've quietly built something most business owners never manage to build at all. A business that can borrow on its own name because you started when it wasn't urgent yet. That's the whole secret, honestly. Not intensity, not intelligence, not connections. Just starting early and
staying consistent while everyone else waits for the perfect moment that never comes.